Good afternoon, Shane.
Good afternoon, Todd.
Welcome to our podcast number 332. I think this is the first time we've done this thing together live in a long time, a couple of years maybe.
It's a wonderful moment, and we have this great studio audience.
We do. I would turn the camera around and pan, but I would never get it back, so I can't do that. But yes, we're here at SPTechCon in Austin, Texas. And so this is Netcast 333 live Monday, April 3rd, 2017.
From Austin.
From Austin.
Where it's really hot.
Really hot, except in the building where it's really cold. And so it's been a couple of months since I've traveled for work, and I made that rookie mistake where I looked at the weather. I'm like, yeah, it's going to be 80. I don't need to pack any sweatshirts or anything like that. And I've frozen my giblets off the whole time I've been here. It's been pretty chilly.
Yeah, I mean, it's just normal, right? But Lori's over there. She's in like a blanket thing. I don't know if you saw her put it on, but I think they call it a shawl. She kind of like draped it, and then she got her comforter out. I don't even know.
Space heater. I had to turn the gain down on the mic. You could hear her teeth chattering.
Yeah.
It's everybody here's wearing sweatshirts.
Yeah, Heidi's got one on. Sandy, Sandy looks.
This is long sleeve shirt.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm an idiot. So should have packed that.
I mean, I can't argue with that. So
that statement stands on its own in so many cases. So for production notes, I did get a little behind because of the class and the preparation for the class, and then the not having the class anymore. Really, what I did though, I was talking to Mike Stanley on Twitter, and he had gotten behind in listening to the podcast. So I went ahead and slowed down the production so he could get caught up. I'm a man of the people.
That's very kind. That's also why we skipped last week's show, right? It was Mike just said, guys, I can't have another one queue up.
Underwater here. So that's why I did that.
Yeah, his iCloud account was full, so I couldn't sync the podcast. Exactly. It was awkward.
Lori was gone, so we didn't have that. And then you were gone, and I'm like, I can't do this whole thing by myself. This is so much work.
Wait, I'm sorry. Will you repeat that for the statement again?
Lori was gone. That's what I said.
I believe Todd said, I am not capable of doing this show by myself whatsoever. I really need Shane and Lori to be there at all times.
Anybody who's listened to this show in the last 8 years is fully aware of the fact that I can't do the show by myself. There's no new news there. There's nothing.
Bummer. I thought it was breaking news.
No, they've been, they know that. But we'll be on tap for me to get this one out, early to late next week because I'm traveling and all that. I don't have my stuff here. But we'll see. So let's take on it up to topics. First thing, we're at SPTechCon, so that's fun. Yeah. We've done a bunch of classes. We did a PowerShell class today. Heidi was in the class, and for the part that she was awake for, she was a big fan of. So we did a good job there.
Yeah, heads or tails. I mean, she was dialed in. We lost her shortly after heads and tails.
Well, you did something you've never done before. You flipped 3 tails in a row.
I was a little concerned about it. I'm not going to lie.
I had to check the coin because I thought maybe we'd gotten a trick coin that was all tails.
I know. Last time we did 3 in a row, it was heads, and it was because of the duck and the queen, right?
The queen of the duck, yeah. A Canadian loony, yeah.
Yeah.
So you were in it right. We were pulling for you, and then, at the last minute.
Yeah. For $5, I would have cheated for you. Let's just be clear. The next class.
Far less than that. Yeah.
Okay, 50 cents.
Far less than that. So that went well. Lori, you had some classes. How did they go?
It went really well. I had 2 sessions and then the one in SharePoint lunch.
Yep. And so her first session was at the same time as ours. Shane went in, tried to poach some people away. They wouldn't leave. So that's good. And we heard no booze. So we've been in classes and heard booze. We did not hear any this time.
Yeah, when I tried to poach them out of Lori's class, I got some nasty looks. I'm just going to be honest. They turned around like, who is this guy trying to get us out of here? Mm-hmm. If only they'd known they were in the presence of greatness.
Well, they were. They didn't want to leave. That was the thing. They knew that, and you were.
Whose side are you on here? We don't like her, remember?
Don't make me choose between the two of you. You might not like how that goes.
Oh, bummer.
So it's gone pretty well. We've got 2 sessions tomorrow. We're doing our Azure AD session first thing. That's a good 8 o'clock session. Authentication, all that kind of stuff. That's good. That's a good one.
Well, it's like when we talked to the people this morning that we're having the meat hangovers, right? We're going to give people a Azure AD hangover. So we want to kind of set them on the right path for the day.
There we go. And then we're doing PowerShell with Office 365 at 1 o'clock or 1:30 or 1:45 or 157, whatever that is. And that one, I was curious. We had a couple of people come up after the PowerShell class. Of course, they were all very complimentary. It changed their lives and all that. But then they asked us questions, and most of the questions were about SharePoint Online and Office 365. And then we had 2 people outside of the class call us, and one of them said that they'd missed it and they felt bad. but what they really wanted was Office 365. And then somebody else said that they almost didn't go to our session. They were almost going to go to one of Mark Rackley's sessions, but at the last minute, they decided to go to our session instead. And I'm like, that is awesome. And I told the guy, I said, I can't wait to tell Mark Rackley the story. And never in my life have I looked forward to seeing Mark Rackley. Not a single time. This is the day I'm actually looking forward to seeing Mark Rackley now, because I can tell him about this. So that's, I mean, it's been a big day for a lot of people.
He tried to join the studio audience, but I had security. Security wouldn't let him through. So
Money well spent.
I thought so.
Yep. So we're going on. So that's been a good time. We've had people got to chat with some people. That's been good.
Yeah, and SPTechCon's a great show, right? If anyone's never not
Yes.
been to SPTechCon, it's got to be my favorite now that we don't have a SharePoint only one from Microsoft. This is my favorite show. Just it's good people, good times. So
Yep. Good. You know, everybody's very intimate. Yeah, it's good stuff, and all great sessions. It's I'm watching Heather Newman's over there doing a session right now. Yeah, good stuff.
Yeah, you think she'd close the door? It is kind of funny. We can literally see Heather.
Nothing
right
but Heather. Yeah.
So
I'm gonna make faces.
concentrate. This is
Sorry,
this.
so we're on the air. Yeah. So good stuff. So that's not all we've been doing. 2 weeks ago, we did a class.
Yeah, we taught a SharePoint admin class online, right? 5 2-hour days of
More than that, because the last 3 days we did an extra 15 minutes. We supersized it. We supersized the afternoon session.
We did in typical Shane and Todd fashion, right? We took like a day and a half to do the first session in a 5-day class. That's kind of a problem. So at the end, we ended up kind of doing the Micro Machine voice. I mean, it was good. It was recorded, so you can slow us down on the recording and then let's play it back. But
Yeah, for those slides that we powered through, you can slow those down. But it went well. It was a good time. We're going to be doing it again. Have we got a date yet set for that? I don't think we do.
no, when we talked about a date, we did not post a date for that. No, we did post a date for that one.
Okay, you look that up. And then while he's looking that up, we're also doing a couple of PowerShell classes, April 20th. I think.
Correct, sir.
But that's all on boldzebras.com. You can see that up at the top. There's a training thing, and we'll be doing that if you want to do that. But that went well. We didn't. Everybody showed up all 5 days. All the students. No, we didn't lose anybody.
Yeah. Well, we did the, and you want to talk about the PowerShell class, right? Because last time I did the intro one, yay, but you added a new one to the schedule this time.
Yeah, so we've, it's funny, as SharePoint folks, we're used to doing SharePoint, and we do this, we started doing a while back, this whole PowerShell for SharePoint folks, because, you know, PowerShell got introduced in SharePoint 2010, but we've been getting a lot of traction with the PowerShell part. So Shane's doing his 90-minute PowerShell, beginning PowerShell thing, and then I'm going to kick in and do another 90-minute advanced PowerShell thing after that on the 20th.
Yep. So I named it Next Steps for you. Todd sent me a very skeleton outline, and so I rewrote what his class was going to be about for him on the website. So he's committed.
I need a little guidance sometimes. I need a little nudge in the right direction. So yeah, that's April 20th. Again, boldzebras.com. You can sign up for that.
Yep. And so in the admin class will be May 8th.
May 8th
People
to
want to
12th.
sign up for that one. Yes, that's also online, 5 days.
Yep. And if you got any questions, shoot us up. We didn't do our stuff at the beginning, but you can email me, Todd@toddclint.com.
Shane at boldzebras.com.
Yep. And we'll hook you up.
Woohoo.
That was a good time. Speaking of SharePoint events, Microsoft announced a couple of weeks ago they're going to have a SharePoint Virtual Summit, and that will be May 16th, so the week after our training. So after you've sat through our training and just gotten up to speed, up to the apex of SharePoint knowledge, then the next week you can watch this virtual summit and see what's going to happen next.
It's pretty
Future
awesome.
of SharePoint.
I would argue you can't go to a Microsoft event if you haven't been to our training. You need that.
I think I read that somewhere. If you go to blogs.office.com in the blog post, I think they mentioned this as a prerequisite.
Back with Bill, right? Bill still watches the show on a weekly basis. So.
Yep. So once you get the training out of the way, then you sign up to the SharePoint Virtual Summit, blogs.office.com. Link will be in the show notes. Sign up for it and register. It's going to be an online event, and it's going to be talking about all the new things that are coming out in the next year of SharePoint. The SharePoint mobile app, all the things that they've done, things are going to happen with OneDrive. That guy Jeff Teeper is going to be there.
Who's he?
Well, he's a friend, a good long time friend of the show. Big fan. But he is a Microsoft corporate vice president.
Ooh.
Of all the different types of vice presidents, we've had this discussion in the last couple of days, all the different vice presidents. He's a corporate vice president. In the vice presidential hierarchy, I don't know where that, it's up there.
What do we decide? There's a corporate, there's an executive.
Senior.
Yeah,
I don't know. There's vice presidents everywhere.
Is there a vice president of vice presidents?
Oh, that would be the vice. Yeah, I like that. But yeah, sign up for that, and that's going to be some good stuff. We're going to see all the new things that are coming out. And they did a similar event a year ago. They did the May the 4th event in San Francisco, and they made us a bunch of promises, and I'll be darned, they kept most of them. It's been a pretty exciting year, so you're not going to want to miss this one.
And it's interesting they use May the 4th, right? I mean, it's the Star Wars holiday. You think they would? That's too sacred to be, trounced on, but I guess not.
No, they did it. So sign up for that. I'll be there. I don't know if you'll be there. Who knows?
I don't even know what it's about until about 30 seconds ago. So
Attaboy. Attaboy.
that's not true. I read about it about 17 minutes ago.
Yeah, there we go. There we go. Expert. So in sad news, though, there was another announcement last week from Microsoft. They're shutting Codeplex down.
You know, I don't even. It hurts because that was like one of the first places I ever accepted going and getting code from developers and not feeling dirty about it.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, I remember. So we've been doing this thing a long time, and before Codeplex, there was a website got.net, and that was .NET programmer stuff, and like Codeplex, but it was scary. I didn't trust anything there. And then Codeplex came out. It was good, and I trusted it. And a lot of great projects. You know, there's the ULS Viewer project. All kinds of great things came out of Codeplex.
Yeah, what was the one we used for upgrades, right? Where you go and find the Solution Explorer or something like that. Yep. That was a have to get rid of the Fab 40 back in the day.
With SharePoint 2, and yeah, there was a Shishimi one. There's all kinds of great tools on Codeplex. A lot of people have given a lot of time and expertise out there. And so it's been a great resource for us, and they're closing it down. It basically lost out to GitHub. That's the thing.
But they're moving everything to GitHub, right? So I mean, it's not we're losing access to that stuff.
Nope.
We just have to accept the dirtiness it is going and getting things from GitHub and getting them from GitHub.
Yeah.
I might go back to the thing where I don't do developer stuff anymore.
Yeah, you're giving up some free tools. You're giving up some good stuff. Yeah, but yeah, if you've got any Codeplex projects that you want to make sure you've got downloaded, you're going to want to do that. It's gonna be like read only starting in December or something. I don't know. You got a while. But go out there and get whatever you need. If you've got a project out there, you probably already know it's shutting down, but if not, get it over to GitHub, and that's where people will be able to enjoy it.
We should write some PowerShell that just goes and downloads all of Codeplex for people, right? The same way that you steal like TechNet slides.
Yep, and videos. Yep. So on the heels of that, I wanted to mention that one of my favorite tools that has come out of Codeplex is the search tool. And this is a tool that has been around since SharePoint 2007 days, maybe?
I was guessing 7 as well.
And this is a tool. It's a standalone executable. It's an EXE that you run. You point it at your SharePoint search center, and you can run queries inside of the tool and get the results back in XML and be able to really do some great looking around at what search is doing behind the scenes. And I've used it for years. I remember specifically the time that I first heard about it was I was troubleshooting a search issue in 2007. Somebody had set a folder or file share as a content source. They couldn't search for documents by file name, but they could by content. And so the PDFs or whatever, I remember talking to you about it, and I tried a bunch of things, reset the index, all that, looked through the logs, and you asked me if I'd use this tool. And what we found out was there was a bug in SharePoint 2007 that when it pulled the files over from the file share and copied them locally to index them, gave them a temporary file name, and that was the file name that had ended up in the index. And so by using this tool, I could see in the background that XML blob, and I could see what that was able to file the bug, and so there's just an update to that tool. The reason I bring it up, SharePoint Search Query Tool, that works for SharePoint 2013, 2016, and SharePoint Online.
Pretty handy, right? I mean, like you said, when you get into the troubleshooting a search, sometimes it's just nice to be able to see the raw data. The same as we talked about in the PowerShell class today, where you can just do the select star, you get all the properties back with all the values, and then you just go looking for that known good. It's the same thing with this tool. It gives you a chance to find that piece of information you know is there.
Yep, it was. So I can't wait to see where that ends up on GitHub. I hope they bring it over. So that was a good one. But if you don't have it yet, go out there and get it. SharePoint 2013 Search Query Tool. Be links in the show notes. But you need that in your administrator's toolkit next to the US log viewer and your resume on a USB drive and all that.
You never know when Wendy's might be hiring, right?
Yeah, well, So a couple of weeks ago, we talked about how Office 365 was going to add this functionality where it would auto-create groups based on direct reports.
Yeah, a lot of excitement about it.
Yeah, and I can't remember if it was announced on a Monday or whatever, but as time went on, people started not being so excited about it. They started seeing some cracks and some things that weren't going to be very good about it. And to Microsoft's credit, they took all that feedback and they kind of rejiggered things. So originally, I can't remember what the date was going to be, sometime the end of this month, I think. They were going to turn it on for every Office 365 tenant. Off you go. And that was it. And that was that. And so a bunch of people came back and gave them scenarios why it was going to be a bad idea, some of the problems. And they said, okay, you're right. We maybe didn't think this through very well. It's going to be limited and you're going to have to sign up for it, things like that. So
I mean, kudos to Microsoft, really, right? I mean, Christoph and the team, right? Those guys, they listened and they reacted, and we didn't have to get burnt by it first. I don't even know what to say.
Yeah. And so some of the issues that people came up with about it was just going to be a process that ran every, if you've got the manager field assigned for a user, then a group would be made for that manager and all those people would be in there. A couple of bad news about it is if you've got, a tenant that's got 500 people that have people reporting to them, poof, overnight you're going to have 500 more groups scattered into your Office 365 tenant. The other thing was the groups were not dynamic. Now, I don't know if anybody's ever worked at a place where nobody moved around, but every place I've worked at, Rackspace, I probably had 10 different managers in the time that I was there. So now you're going to have all these groups that aren't, that are the wrong managers and all that. It was just not ready for prime time.
It's interesting they would have missed it. I get missing the scale issue, but missing the dynamic issue, maybe Microsoft's just so rock solid in their org structure, they can't imagine all the other companies that we work at that is not the case.
That's not been my, but that was good. I mean, I can just think of back in the day when you and I have gone to different people's offices and screamed at them about stuff that need to be changed in SharePoint, and we've been mocked and ridiculed. It was good to see that they listened to some of this.
But see, this was the internet. The internet mocked and ridiculed them. That's allowed.
That's true. So you don't have to worry about that if you were planning on getting inundated with that. You don't have to worry about that. So a topic we were going to talk about a couple of weeks ago that we didn't get to was a headline that I saw, and this is a Twitter post or something. The headline was, "Dishwasher has directory traversal bug."
Oh, of course it does.
Now, I read that, and being a computer nerd, I know what a directory traversal bug is. That's one of those things where if you get a URL and you start putting double dots in, you can work your way back up and then work your way back out and do bad stuff. And as a married man who's not been divorced, I know what a dishwasher is because that's one of the keys of a happy marriage. But I didn't understand how the two would work together. And so it turns out it's this Internet of Things dishwasher that you can get to online. It's got a web page and you can do stuff with it. But somebody figured out that it had a directory traversal bug in it. So you could hit the web server on your dishwasher and walk up the tree and then walk back down and do nefarious things to this dishwasher if you were on the network that it was on. Just let that sink in for a little minute about that's.
See, it doesn't have to sink in for me because we talked about it in the previous show. What was like a month ago?
Something like that.
The microwave is spying on you, right?
Yes.
And so clearly the microwave got mad at the dishwasher. So the microwave hacked the dishwasher, and that's how they found out.
That's probably true. That microwave.
That's what it's at, right? Because that's where we end up in this Internet of Things. Is so. I'm probably gonna go to jail one day for this, right? But the Russians are gonna own my microwave. The Chinese have got my dishwasher, and the blender is owned by the NSA, and so they're gonna be like having hack wars inside my house to see who can.
It's gonna be cyber warfare right inside the young kitchen. That's I hadn't really thought about that.
That's what I'm seeing in this scenario.
I was more worried as we were discussing before the show started about the microwave spying on us. All the hotel rooms I've stayed in that have had microwaves. Just some of the things that have gone on. I'm just, I'm a little nervous now.
I know. I mean,
get some extra. But what this brought up on a serious note was, we love all this functionality, all these online things. I love the idea of like my stove being online, so I can jump in and tell it to start preheating, so that when I, take my frozen pizza in there, it's ready to go. Things like that. That's great functionality.
Yeah.
But for things like that, and how many of us have appliances that are 10 or 12 years old? I mean, I've got a refrigerator in my house that's 14 years old. What happens to the software running on that thing 14 years after it comes out? Who is maintaining that and looking for bugs and all those things?
The Russians, the Chinese, the NSA.
This is true.
We've covered this.
Yes, I got the TV that spies on me. So I mean, there's this implicit, understanding that if you buy something, they're gonna support it while it runs. But it's just got, and these are not software companies. These are, dishwasher companies, Amana and Whirlpool and all that. They don't have, life cycle management and software things. So I'm curious how that's going to shake out, or if they're going to end up farming that out to other companies to handle. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, and what the standards change, right? So somebody's going to have to patch them. I'm doing a USB port now in my dishwasher. I'm going to stick the stick in and be like run the rinse cycle and then update the firmware. I mean, it sounds silly, right? It's funny for us to talk about, but in reality, this is.
Yeah.
At some point, someone's gonna have to wake up and patch my dishwasher.
Yeah, and it's not even that we're worried about the dishwasher, like somebody running a load, but if somebody can get a bad process running on the dishwasher, they can spider out to the rest of the house and try to get my microwave feed going, on their own thing, or very seriously, the Samsung TVs that have the microphones and the cameras, those have been hacked. So you don't want this to be a foothold into other things.
The light bulbs are the same way, right? The
light bulbs,
we covered those about 3 or 4 months ago. The first time
that
was hacked, and And now who's patching it? So even if it's good today,
Yep. In the chat room, Dave is worried about your cheese grater and what the nefarious things it might be doing.
the cheese grater is a little sketchy.
I want to turn your eye on that. And the other thing is, folks like you and I, we've got routers and I can see what traffic's going out and I can see. But I think about people like my parents. They shouldn't have to worry about that. They shouldn't have to worry about keeping these things up to date.
Well, the good news is my parents' oven is from 1974 still.
It's a good year.
So-
That was a very good year.
Vintage.
Yeah. Yep.
It and the wine.
Yes. Yep. But that was an interesting story as I read through it. And I had, I like you. I wanted to make fun of it, but then as I started thinking about it more deeply, I'm like, this is going to be a problem. It's going to be like that movie Maximum Overdrive. All the machines are going to come to life and the background.
They're going to order themselves an Uber. They can just take themselves in and out.
It's
It can be fun. But I like Dave's point, right? You just you need to dance like the microwave isn't watching, and just dance like the microwave isn't watching.
Well, and I have been, which is the problem. That's. So another thing, good news, bad news, whatever. I've seen that Microsoft has said that they are updated. They've updated the Access Services roadmap, and it's going bye-bye. Okay? They're deprecating Access Services. They're suggesting we don't use it. They're retiring it.
So wait, is this Access Services 2010 or 2013?
I know this one. I know it's 2013, which is just Access Services. It is not Access Services 2010, which was Access Services in 2010, but then Access Services 2010 in 2013 and 2016. You get all that? Nobody.
I don't even know what just happened.
No, so it is the thing that is Access Services in SharePoint 2013 and 2016.
Okay.
It's that thing that we hated as administrators. It would create databases and do all those horrible things. That is going away.
So is the other one already went away? Access Services 2010?
No. And they specifically call that out in the article.
I should read these ahead of time.
Yeah, if it wouldn't hurt you any.
If we were at home, I would have.
You not even. No, so I think, so this article doesn't mention it, but I think another one does, that still works. The whole bringing databases in and taking your Access 2010 database and turning it into a site and lists and all that still works.
Gotcha.
But Access Services, which has never really caught on, like I never really had very many customers that used it, and it had all these crazy SQL requirements and all these permissions things that nobody wanted to do inside of SQL, and this ability for any user to create multiple databases inside of SQL.
It was a horrible idea.
Yeah, so they're finally taking that away. And the idea is that they're going to be moving that to things like Power Apps and Flow and things like that.
Well, and I wonder, is InfoPath sitting in the corner laughing, right? Because it was going to die all these years ago. Access Services was going to be the replacement for it. We still got InfoPath.
Access Services is dead. InfoPath is as strong now as it was 5 years ago. That is true.
I mean, he references Power Apps and Flow in the document, but let's just be honest. InfoPath's going to outlive both of those products as well.
And so the thing they say here about the 2010 thing, and I just lost it, but it says that it will still work.
And Power Apps, really, I think Laura's doing a session on those right now, Laura Rogers. I probably should be there learning about Power Apps because I keep hearing about them, like maybe they're going to happen.
Of all of the InfoPath replacements that I have seen over the last few years, and there have been many, it's got the most potential, I think. I'm with you. We should probably learn more about that.
InfoPath, I'm still rooting for you. Remember that. Me and you, InfoPath.
Always, yeah. When you take over the world, InfoPath, like you will. But yes, if you're one of the 6 people in the world that has a solution that's based on Access Services, it might be time to start looking to upgrade that.
But think how happy your DBA will be with you when you tell them we're getting rid of Access Services.
Yeah, that's true. We got a couple of minutes left. Did you want to talk about M or N? I think we've got.
We can do either one of those.
You choose. They're both yours.
All right, so we'll do M. So earlier this week, no, last week. I get really confused.
It's really, really early this week, so it's tough to be earlier this week.
When we travel on the weekends, I'm not going to lie, it just messes up the whole thing. That's why I kept calling it the training class last week, because
it was last week.
Last week never ended because it's still I don't know. Anyway. I feel you. So I had the chance, I needed to set up another LLC for, some stuff we were working on. Yep. And it was really kind of fun. It was the first time. So in the past, I've always.
So how many businesses have you started up before this experience?
I don't know, 5 or 6.
Right. So you've done this before over many years.
Yes. Yeah. But generally speaking, all the ones I've done correctly has been I've called a lawyer and I said, hey, set all this up for me, right? And so he would go and fill out all the paperwork. Because you have to fill out paperwork with the state. You got to get an EIN number through the IRS.
Yep. Employer identification number.
Thank you. And Then you're supposed to have like articles of operating agreement. I usually don't have one of those, just to be honest.
I always do my stuff in Panama. Yeah.
But so with this, I was like, all right. I called my lawyer. He was out. He was on spring break. I'm like, how does this work? So I set out to do it myself. So I went out to Ohio State. The Attorney General has his own little website there.
Okay.
So went out there and filled all that out. And about 15 minutes later, I had that done.
Yeah.
For, whopping. So it was interesting. It was, okay, it's $99 as a filing fee. And then it was like $200 for next day, $400 for same day, or free for if you just wait, 5 days or whatever.
Right.
So I needed it next day, so I paid the $200. I got it like literally 3 minutes later. Like, I feel like this whole pick your price thing was kind of a scam.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So kudos to them for scamming me out $200.
Yeah, well done. I can applaud that.
But then I went out, and for the first time ever, I'd seen that the IRS does the INs online, employer identification numbers.
Yep.
That takes about 37 seconds.
Excellent.
You just record your social, so I gave them yours. If you don't mind.
Good. No, just get that out there. I was one of the people that got scammed last year with the IRS stuff.
Oh, I did not know that.
So thanks for that.
Glad I could help.
I can never do my taxes online again.
And so then I went out to Rocket Lawyer. I just, random website on the internet, and I filled in, answered 25 questions, and it just spit out a operating agreement, and I paid $20 to own my operating agreement, printed it out, signed it.
And that was it.
Yeah, hour later, I had a fully functional legal company. It's kind of cool.
Yeah. And that's amazing because if you think about how long that's taken in the past and all the the time with the lawyer and all that, about an hour.
Yeah, and and I guess I point this out for a couple reasons, right? One, to show you how smart I am. No.
Anybody?
No one bought on that one.
No.
But no, it's to remind people. Some people are like, oh, I don't want to do all that paperwork. It's too hard. I mean, I realize I've done it a lot, so it helped. Yeah. But it's a process that anyone can go through. For a couple $100, you can get a legitimate business. And the whole reason, especially those of you who are doing independent consulting and things like that, the whole reason you should do an LLC is to protect your assets, right? Yeah. It's all about being able to say, hey, if I really screw up this Microsoft Apps project or I install access services for these people and they sue me, they're only going to get the $5 my company made. They can't sue me for my house or my car, your Trans Am, those type of things.
We don't joke about that. There's some things we don't.
That's why you should have an LLC.
It's,
So I just kind of throw it out there. We talk about businessy topics sometimes. So if you haven't done it, it's very doable.
Yeah.
I'll help you. Email me, tweet me. I'll tell you what to do exactly.
So it's cheap insurance for an hour and a couple $100. You can have the whole thing. And so I listen to a bunch of podcasts myself, and Planet Money's one of them. And they did a couple of podcasts last year or the year before about how to obfuscate companies and how you can, offshore your companies and how that whole process works. And that was kind of interesting too. So turned out it's really tough to do that and get away with it these days. 20 years ago, not a big deal. Today, really, really tough to hide that.
Yeah, and those are the type of things I feel like they get you sent to jail a lot faster these days, right? They used to put up with those shenanigans.
Just laugh and tussle your hair. No, now they throw you in the big house.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
Yep.
So, but one of the things when you do an LLC, you can assign a registered agent.
Yep.
And so then that way, instead of your name being on all the paperwork, it's your lawyer or your agent or whatever. So that does kind of keep some anonymity without breaking laws.
Yeah. So that was a thing that they kind of came back from. Is it's easy to keep anonymous from regular people.
Yep.
But if the FBI or the CIA wants to know, it's like a phone call away, and they know.
Well, they just asked my microwave, so I don't understand this.
Get all the microwaves together, ask them. But yeah, it's super easy, and it seems really intimidating. Where do you incorporate? How do you? About an hour.
Well, and another common question that'll come up real quick, I'm going to ask myself the question, but a lot of people are like, hey, should I do it in Nevada or Delaware? I hear all these weird things. And so generally speaking, the advice, right, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not an accountant.
Has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, clearly. But one of the things with that, right, is generally you want to use your home state unless you have a very specific, like you can tell me why you're doing it in Delaware or Nevada. And because everyone else does it is not the answer.
Nope.
In reality, the only time you want to do a Delaware corporation or Nevada is if you're doing, if you're going to go become a C Corp.
Yep. So
an actual corporation, like you want to either sell shares, go public, that type of stuff. Those make sense in Delaware. Bob and Tom's house of SharePoint Consulting does not make sense to do in Delaware.
Yep.
Because the register agent requirements change. I know people have had $100,000 bill because they didn't elect a registered agent in a foreign state. And the way the laws were set up, that state, someone could come in and register themselves as your registered agent. So they ended up with a $100,000 bill from some guy they'd never heard of. And it was all legal because they had to have a registered agent in the state. And that guy did the roll for them.
Yeah, in the Slack channel, they're already talking about doing that for my LLC. They're already deciding who's going to buy Todd Clint LLC. They probably have it all done by now because it's been, 10 or 15 minutes.
I just told you all I spent an hour setting up an LLC last week. I don't know what you think I was doing.
Yeah, that's it. So yeah, that's interesting stuff because that's something. It's very intimidating, but it's not that big a deal.
Yeah. So do it often.
All right. Now we'll move on to the self-promotion piece. So it's funny how we were talking about how I didn't know when the class was, and it's in the self-promotion. So it's right there at the bottom of the.
Oh, look at that! You're actually going to remember to talk about it too.
Yeah. So Shane and I, we're getting the class back together May 8th through the 12th. Go to boldzebras.com, register for that. 5 days of SharePoint admin training, and then whatever shenanigans, what other questions you guys have.
Also includes hands-on labs. We didn't point out that earlier. So.
Yep, we have all those. I was on a SharePoint podcast, the SQL Data Partners podcast. You go to SQLDataPartners.com, and basically I talked to the SQL crowd about how lucky they were that SharePoint decided to use them to store all of its stuff.
That was nice of you to educate them.
Sometimes I think they take us for granted, and I think it's important that they don't do that. So you can go check that out, and they've got some other good podcasts on there, but that's a good one to start with. And then I teased you guys about this a couple of podcasts ago. I've been accepted at another conference, the Office 365 Engage conference. That's in Amsterdam or Haarlem, Netherlands. That's June 19th through 22nd over in Europe. And I'll be talking about the things we're doing tomorrow. Azure Active Directory, PowerShell with Office 365, some of those things.
So that's why you won my deck earlier.
That's why I wanted. That's why I was giving you so much critiquing on it, letting you polish it up, because I'm going to steal it. I'm gonna do it in a couple of months.
At least you're honest.
Yeah, and they run a tight ship over there. So the person in charge of that track is Tony Redmond. He's been an Exchange guy for 100 years, and he sent out a thing with all the different tracks in it. There's some great sessions going on there, and there are also some other great sessions on Azure AD and Office 365 PowerShell. So it was interesting talking to those guys, and like one of them's putting on a troubleshooting Azure Active Directory thing. So we're like, all right, I can have people that go to my session. I can tell them to go to your session and learn some of the innards and how to troubleshoot. So it's going to be some really great stuff. I'm looking forward to learning some stuff there.
I don't understand why all these great speakers are having you. Or are you like the overflow room?
I think so. I think it's just to make them look that much better. They have me there, and then
gotcha.
I think that's what it is. But that's going to be there, and I forget the URL for that. Let me look at my notes.
I assume that's why Lori hangs out with us, right? She looks really pretty when she walks in a room with us. Very
much, yeah. So if you go to Office365Engage.com, that's the place to sign up for that. And again, it's in Europe. I don't know if you've been to Europe. You've never been to the Netherlands, I don't think.
I've not been to the Netherlands.
It's a great time, and if you're in Europe, well, come on up. I'd love to see you.
Yeah, I know last time I was in Europe, bad things happened, so I'm hoping to avoid that.
It wasn't that bad.
It was.
So I think that is it for this week. We've got a bunch of parties and stuff to go to tonight, so we're going to hang up soon here and do all that. Thanks to our studio audience. They didn't boo or anything or tell us when we were wrong. So that was
they rolled their eyes a few times.
I get but you and I are used to that, though. That's a daily occurrence. So, but we should be back in the saddle next week.
Yeah, back to a normal schedule where I don't have to be, this close to you. You don't have to smell me.
I did shower today, so
you did. This morning, you tried to give me a hug before you showered. That was kind of gross.
It was, yeah.
Mr. Clint went for a 9-mile jog.
No, it's very much short. But I went for a jog, and I saw Shane and Nick Charlebois in the speaker room. And so I was going to come over and give Shane a big sweaty hug. Oddly, he didn't seem that offended by it. Like, he didn't fight near it. But then Nick stood up to come over to shake my hand. I'm like, Nick, you're not going to want to. I'm not being antisocial. You're going to want to stay on that side of the room. I'll come back later. Well,
so you're saying Nick is. What are you saying about Nick here?
I look out for him. I like him better than I like you. He's Canadian. It's all. So, but I think that's it for this week. So we're going to sign off. We'll see you next week. Hit us up, toddclint.com, boldzebras.com.
It's good stuff.
Yep. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.